instructor began explaining the rules. The entire exam was divided into 4 stages: strength lifting, jumping box, long distance running and swimming. As long as the student meets the goal, they can advance to the next stage. With the instructor's signal, the competition began. Everyone rushed to lift the barbells as quickly as possible. The boy, once looked down on by everyone, was now rapidly pushing the barbell in his hands.
Really?
Is he crazy? If he keeps this up, he'll collapse. At the same time, Ilya easily finished the lift. She quickly moved on to the second event. Before long, the boy also completed the lift. This scene immediately stunned everyone present. But what shocked them even more came next. The boy then directly moved on to the jumping box stage. He completed the jump at an almost frenzied pace. At this point, the few still lifting barbells were no longer calm. Especially Judith, who was already exhausting her body. At this moment, the boy had reached the long-distance running stage. He closely followed behind Ilya. This moment he felt incredibly light. A surge of passion rose in his heart. He had the urge to surpass Ilya. But just then, Judith overtook them both and reached the front. She had worked so hard to get to this position. She didn't want to lose to anyone. Because of her commoner background, Judith had endured much ridicule from others. That's why she trained harder than anyone else. She had finally made it to the top sword academy of the continent. To prove that she was no worse than anyone else. At this moment, Judith dove into the water. She swam forward with astonishing speed. But suddenly she felt a sharp pain in her thigh. Now she could no longer move forward. She could only watch helplessly as Ilya overtook her. Tears slowly slid from the corner of her eyes. Even if I push myself, I still can't beat you. Suddenly a wave of exhaustion flooded her mind. Judith slowly sank into the water. Maybe it's time to rest. But when she opened her eyes again, she found a boy was helping her move forward with difficulty. She was unwilling. Why isn't he saving me? The boy didn't respond. He soon succeeded in bringing her back to the starting point. But just then, the students who had been behind all caught up. The boy didn't care. He insisted on waiting until the instructor arrived before continuing the test. Because of this, the boy who had been ranked second fell to second to last place. But he still managed to complete the test. He wasn't eliminated. However, some people in the crowd started mocking him. Why did he do such unnecessary things during the exam? I don't know what he's pretending to be kind. But it's precisely because he successfully made it into the top 5. Fred, who was ranked second, was left deep in thought as he watched the boy. His performance in the test far exceeded mine. If Judith hadn't overexerted herself, she would have ranked 4th. I have to admit I lost this time. The next day, while the boy was training alone, Ilya found him and confronted him. Why did you do that during the competition? The boy was stunned by the question. I just felt like I should do it. His answer angered Ilya. Even if you didn't, the instructors would have saved her. You gave up the reward of becoming the leader of the first academy on such a small thing. Are you really crazy? Next we'll begin training with swords. This is completely different from training the body. Swordsmanship cannot just grow through hard work. It also requires talent. Because of your judgment yesterday, you may have completely lost the chance to be taught swordsmanship by the Academy Master. I won't help you again. Soon it was time to announce the results of the test. The top 5 outstanding preparatory students had the opportunity to meet with the Academy Master and receive rewards. But at this moment, the Academy Master said that there was one student missing. Please, student number 311, come up to receive your reward. The announcement caused an uproar in the crowd. The Academy Master slowly said, people may experience incredible growth and achievements while chasing after others, but in the process they might miss out on the most important things. But this preparatory student is different. At a critical moment, he chose to sacrifice himself to save a classmate who fell into the water. I believe his actions were valuable. Soon it was time for the students to meet with the Academy Master. Fred chose to receive guidance from the Academy Master. Ilya, however, was different. She actually requested to spar with the Academy Master. The Academy Master frowned slightly. This is a bit difficult. We can only give you one piece of advice. Don't let others control you. Pursue your own life. Don't obsess over this and waste your time. Live with your family and learn your swordsmanship. That's your path. But Ilya was determined. The Academy Master had no choice but to agree to her request. Soon the Academy Master completed the rewards for the others. Next, there's still one last person. But the Academy Master's reward, he only asked one question. That is, how can you make up with a girl? The Academy Master became even more curious about the boy. After all, everyone on the company loves his guidance. After resolving the boy's confusion, the Academy Master made an exception and gave him a chance to be taught swordsmanship. But the boy's understanding of swordsmanship was limited to swinging the sword. He didn't even know what to ask. It seemed like the Academy Master saw his uncertainty. The Academy Master decided to hold on to this opportunity. If you encounter any questions about swordsmanship in the future, The Academy Master watched the boy's retreating figure lost in thought. He clearly couldn't understand swordsmanship. Yet he had a clear goal in mind. It was as though there was someone guiding him from behind. Soon the boy began his training. The usually indifferent Judith walked over. She first thanked the boy for saving her life, and then generously offered to be his friend. Under Judith's pressure, the boy had no chance to refuse. But this seemed fine to him. Everyone chose their preferred wooden swords. But the boy walked straight to the corner. He picked up the unclaimed bronze sword. This was the only intention. A weary beginner wants to use a bronze sword. He's really dumb. But the next moment shock covered their faces. The boy suddenly swung the sword. The fierce momentum instantly kicked up a cloud of dust. Even the instructors couldn't help but glance at him. Though his movements were a bit stiff, he still had such a powerful presence. Suddenly Brett stepped out of the crowd. He pointed his sword at the boy. "I invite you to spar with me." The moment these words were spoken, the crowd erupted. This was strictly prohibited in the academy, and they had never even heard any swordsmanship classes. Just as the instructors were about to stop them, the academy master allowed their sparring. It's nice to have something different occasionally. With the academy master's approval, Brett's figure shot out like a swift rabbit. In an instant he was right in front of the boy. The boy swung his sword to defend. The barrage of attacks came again. The fierce offensive left the boy no chance to retaliate. Everyone thought the outcome was already decided. But Judith noticed something. At this moment Brett retreated quickly. After the brief exchange he saw the boy's shortcomings. This guy's reactions are indeed fast, but his movements are very irrational. He doesn't seem like someone who practices swordsmanship. "Let me test your strength then." Brett deliberately left an opening. The boy seized the moment. He swung his sword down with earth-shattering force. This immediately startled Brett. His body instinctively fell backward. He knocked the broadsword out of the boy's hands. Sparring over, Brett claimed a final victory. The instructor then began announcing the results of the swordsmanship test. And based on their abilities, he would assign the students to groups. First, the highest level Group A members. They would face even harsher training. Then came Groups B and C, where the training would be relatively lighter. But when all the groups had been assigned, the boy's name wasn't called. Just as Judith was puzzled, the instructor revealed the answer. It turned out that since the boy knew nothing about swordsmanship, he was placed in a special group F. The next day, swordsmanship training officially began. The doctor became the boy's temporary instructor. The naive boy thought that with enough effort he could catch up to the others. The instructor didn't immediately refuse him. Instead, he showed him through action. Effort is important, but it's nothing compared to natural talent. You can master basic swordsmanship in a week. I can promote you to Group C. But if you can't even manage that, then I suggest you give up. But what surprised the instructor was that the boy had grasped most of the swordsmanship principles in just a few days. His progress was becoming faster and faster. Although his effort played a part, it was undeniable. This guy indeed had incredible talent. The time came for the test feed. The boy asked Judith to help him check his swordsmanship. As the boy swung his sword, a look of shock appeared on Judith's face. She, who was very strict with sword practice, actually gave a thumbs up to the once helpless young master. The next day, the instructor returned to the infirmary. This confirmed that the boy had successfully advanced to Group C. But that was still not enough. To help him advance to Group A, Judith decided to personally spar with him. Reluctantly, the boy agreed. Battle was about to begin. Judith launched the first attack. Even while wielding a heavy sword, she was still as agile as a rabbit. The boy barely blocked the strike. Using the advantage of a great sword, he repelled Judith. He leapt and swung vertically downward. But as he landed, he quickly changed posture, which threw Judith off balance. However, she reacted quickly. Twisting the sword's hilt, she sent the boy flying. The spar ended with Judith's victory, but she suddenly changed the topic. "I heard you've had trouble with Ilya lately. She should be alone at the small training grounds by now." With that, Judith turned and left, leaving the boy deep in thought. Meanwhile, Ilya was practicing the family's swordsmanship alone. Suddenly, the appearance of a figure interrupted her. It was the boy who had just sparred with Judith. He awkwardly greeted Ilya. Then he took out a letter and a pouch. Ilya found his actions a bit puzzling, but the boy explained, "My sister is not very good at interacting with others. So we often fight, but every time I wake up, find gifts and letters she left behind. I'm not good with words either, so I tried writing down my thoughts." Ilya remained cold-faced. "Even so, I won't help you any further." The boy said it was fine.
You're carrying a lot of energy, probably enough to shatter that conflux pylon. That should lower the barrier and let us out.
Tired of you coming at me like that. I know.